7 British royal necklaces that caused family fights. For centuries, royal jewels have been far more than ornaments. They have symbolized power, status, loyalty, and at times, even rivalry within the world's most famous family. Behind the closed doors of palaces, these heirlooms have sparked debates, stirred resentment, and revealed the complex relationships between queens, consorts, and princesses. Some pieces were considered too sacred to share, others became flashpoints of controversy when worn in unexpected ways, and a few even ignited tensions that lasted for generations. Each necklace tells a deeper story, and the invisible power struggles within the British monarchy. And among them are pieces so fiercely guarded that they were denied even to queens themselves, jewels whose sparkle hides stories of rivalry, resentment, and royal power. Nizam of Hyderabad necklace. This Cartier masterpiece, gifted to Queen Elizabeth II as a wedding present by the Nizam of Hyderabad, became one of the most cherished pieces in the royal collection. Personally handpicked by the young princess herself, the Nizam of Hyderabad necklace was deeply dear to her heart and was often referred to as the Queen's favourite because no one else ever wore it. For decades, Queen Elizabeth II refused to loan the necklace to anyone, never loaned it to Princess Margaret or Princess Diana either, and only reserved it for the most high-profile events. However, controversy emerged when younger royals began wearing the piece at major events, with many viewing it as the ultimate crown jewel of modern royal glamour. Tension particularly rose when Princess Catherine wore the necklace for the first time. Why was it such a sensitive issue? Because the Nizam necklace is one of the most expensive and closely guarded pieces in the royal vault, considered too personal and historical to ever be shared. Its sentimental weight came not only from being a wedding gift personally chosen by the Queen, but also from its immense monetary and historical value. Many within royal circles felt it was too intimately tied to the late Queen to be loaned out so soon, so freely. So when Princess Catherine stepped out wearing the necklace at the Portrait Gala in 2014, barely 3 years into her marriage, it sparked surprise and debate among royal watchers, jewellery experts, and even some within the family that something too scared loaned to a new royal member too soon. Wondering if Princess Margaret ever asked for it, and was refused since the necklace was quite like her style, bold and outrageous. Queen Mary's Pearl and Diamond Riviere. This exquisite and historically significant necklace was widely believed to be best reserved for Princess Margaret to showcase at grand state occasions, rather than being worn for more casual outings or glamorous parties. Jewels linked to Queen Mary carried immense historical weight, treasured heirlooms that were traditionally seen during major portraits, coronations, and state ceremonies. Composed of alternating collar-set diamonds and luminous round pearls, Queen Mary's Pearl and Diamond Riviere was passed down directly to her granddaughter, Princess Margaret, who became its most frequent wearer. Yet her approach to such a storied heirloom quickly raised eyebrows. Senior royals and courtiers felt she wore it far too often to private soirees, glittering society balls, and even casual public events, settings they believed were far too trivial for a jewel of this lineage and importance. By bringing it into such ordinary social settings, they argued, Margaret risked diminishing its prestige and transforming a historic treasure into something that appeared almost commonplace. Why did it raise eyebrows? Unlike her sister, Queen Elizabeth II, who viewed jewellery as a solemn symbol of duty, continuity, and statecraft, Margaret treated the Riviere as an extension of her bold and glamorous persona, and that courtiers whispered she wore it too often and too casually. And this is precisely why it stirred controversy. A piece once associated with royal power, legacy, and tradition was suddenly being used as a fashion statement. To many within the family, it was a sign that Margaret was blurring the line between regal heritage and personal indulgence, adding yet another source of tension to her already complex relationship with the monarchy. Delhi Durbar Emerald Choker. Diana's love for chokers led Queen Elizabeth II to entrust her with the historic Delhi Durbar Emerald and Diamond Choker, unseen for nearly 70 years, a gift that soon marked one of the earliest clashes between Diana's individuality and the crown. It was a gesture meant to honour tradition and to give Diana a piece of royal history to wear proudly. But what happened next turned that well-intentioned gift into a moment of quiet royal tension. During a 1985 visit to Melbourne, Diana famously stepped out wearing the choker not around her neck, but wrapped across her forehead as a bandeau headpiece while dancing with Prince Charles. According to royal biographer Kitty Kelly, this wasn't part of a daring fashion plan. The necklace simply wouldn't pass over her nose, so she decided to improvise and keep it on her head for the evening. The press adored it. The public called it daring and modern. But behind palace doors, it was a very different story. The Queen, who had considered the piece a deeply symbolic heirloom meant to be worn with reverence, was reportedly deeply irritated, even angry by the choice. What she saw was not innovation, but disrespect. For her, a jewel so closely tied to royal lineage was not a fashion accessory to be reimagined. It was a piece of living history meant to be worn as a symbol of duty and continuity. This one decision, playful and spontaneous to Diana, provocative and inappropriate to the Queen, created a chilly undercurrent in their relationship. It was said that the Queen expressed her displeasure directly, disappointed that Diana had turned a royal heirloom into what looked like a modern fashion experiment. Some in the palace even called the moment insulting to the memory of Queen Mary. And perhaps Diana never wore the choker as a headpiece again. Greville diamond festoon necklace. The magnificent Greville festoon necklace was among the Queen Mother's most cherished possessions, a dazzling part of the famous Greville bequest that she always regarded as her personal collection. Made of 5 rows of diamond plaques set in platinum, with the 2 longest strands crafted by Cartier for Mrs. Greville in 1929, the necklace was one of the brightest stars of her jewellery box, and unlike many royal pieces, this one was held onto tightly. The Queen Mother rarely let it out of her sight, wearing it frequently throughout her life and refusing to loan it, not even to her own daughters. This firm grip over the Greville jewels famously led to one of the more uncomfortable moments between her and Princess Margaret. Known for her glamorous, rebellious streak, Margaret adored dramatic jewels and believed this spectacular piece would have been perfect for the grand tours and major public duties she undertook in the 1960s and 1970s. She requested the necklace on several occasions, particularly after her marriage when she was representing the crown abroad, but the Queen Mother flatly refused every time. As noted in Hugo Vickers' The Queen Mother, the official biography, Margaret had hoped to wear the festoon during the height of her official life. But her mother had other ideas. She believed certain jewels, especially ones as significant as the Greville festoon, should remain strictly reserved for those closest to the throne, describing them as pieces for future queens. Although they weren't legally part of the crown jewels, they were treated as such by tradition, and the Queen Mother was determined that they would pass to Queen Elizabeth II, and later to future queens like Camilla. Princess Diana Emerald and Diamond Pendant. Few royal jewels carry the same emotional weight, or spark the same level of controversy, as the piece that was a wedding gift of Queen Alexandra in 1863, the historic diamond and emerald necklace. Queen Mother gifted it to Diana in 1981 as a wedding present, which she cherished deeply, wearing it as a pendant necklace on several occasions, including a glamorous gala at the Vienna Burgtheater during her 1986 state visit to Austria. Many were stunned and outraged when it resurfaced years later in the hands of Queen Camilla, and even more so when she chose to redesign it into a brooch. Why Duchess Camilla altered some of Princess Diana's most personally significant jewels remain deeply tied to her legacy, which is why their transformation has struck such a nerve. To many, altering one of these pieces felt like nothing short of an insult. How could a jewel so intimately connected to Diana, one she wore during defining moments of her royal life, be redesigned and repurposed by someone who, with countless treasures at her disposal, could have easily chosen something else? Was this a bold attempt at modernization, or simply a blatant disregard for royal sentiment and Diana's memory? The decision to restyle such a meaningful heirloom ignited real frustration behind palace walls. Even outside the palace, the public reaction was fierce. Outraged fans flooded social media with criticism, labeling the move disrespectful and questioning how could she? Shouldn't this have gone to William and Harry? The discontent extended to the royal family itself. Many insiders were furious that a jewel so closely associated with Diana had been loaned out at all, and even more incensed that it was altered to match another's personal taste, transformed into a brooch in a way that felt like an attempt to leave a personal stamp on something that was never hers to change. Greville emerald necklace. What if I told you that one royal necklace was so fiercely guarded, so closely held, that even a reigning queen wasn't allowed to touch it? The answer is yes, and it was none other than the legendary Greville emerald necklace, a jewel that quietly caused dual hostility behind palace walls. The Queen Mother fiercely guarded the Greville jewels, wearing them herself and refusing to loan them out, not even to her own daughter, Queen Elizabeth II. As royal historian Hugo Vickers put it, she adored her jewellery and did not believe in giving them up merely because her daughter was now queen. And that is exactly what happened. Even after Elizabeth became queen in 1952, many of these jewels remained locked away in her mother's possession. Just as she never shared her rubies, she refused to part with the Greville emeralds. This necklace, one of the Queen Mother's favourites, became a subtle symbol of power and control within the royal family. It's often said that jewel tensions simmered beneath the surface because of her iron grip on the collection, especially since, by tradition, all royal jewels should have been at the new sovereign's disposal upon accession. Yet the Greville emerald necklace was never made available to Elizabeth II. Instead, the parure stayed in the Queen Mother's private collection right up until her death in 2002, a full 50 years after her daughter became monarch. Did the Queen resent it? Some insiders believe so. Elizabeth never wore the emerald necklace, perhaps a silent sign of her frustration over her mother's refusal to hand it over. Intriguingly, the Queen did eventually wear another piece believed to be part of the Greville parure, 77 years later, at the 2019 Buckingham Palace diplomatic reception. Not the same one she long favoured, and its appearance has been interpreted by some historians as a subtle, symbolic gesture, a sign that the Queen had long since moved on from the jewel her mother once refused to share. Queen Alexandra wedding necklace. Should a queen's wedding jewels belong to the monarchy or her family? Where does heritage end and private ownership begin? One of those debates that still quietly lingers behind palace walls, and few pieces illustrate that tension better than Queen Alexandra's wedding parure. This lavish diamond and pearl necklace presented to Alexandra on her marriage to the future King Edward VII in 1863 was far more than a dazzling jewel. As it was under discussion, family friction began to build. Was this necklace a private gift to Alexandra that should pass directly to her descendants, or had it, by virtue of its history and symbolism, become part of the crown jewels and therefore the property of the sovereign? The question sparked whispers, debates, and even quiet power struggles within the family. Some members firmly believed it should remain with the reigning monarch's line as a national treasure, while others felt it was a deeply personal heirloom that rightfully belonged to Alexandra's bloodline. That's all for today. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating royal jewel stories.